Hey, friends, I'm joining you in all that's coming at us right now. It's engulfed my world, it's engulfed our church, it's engulfed my family, and I think we all wonder what is going to come next. And I don't know the answer to that any more than you do. I guess we all have an overall plan to simply get to tomorrow, and then maybe we'll figure it out then. Who knows? And we're looking to our political leaders, whether they be our governors or whether they be our state leaders, maybe even our leaders from Washington. And we hope that they have a handle on it. We're hoping that they can bring the crisis under control. I was just thinking that last year, about this time, we were doing a taping for the church that we were building in Florida. And I was talking about how God does turnarounds in our lives. And I was reminded during this week that when I developed that, it reminded me of how much I need to pray and how I need to stay on my knees. And so I began to pray for my family again, all over again, for the church, and for many of you that have sent us your prayer requests. And so as I was developing my message for the week, and at the same time recognizing the war that we find ourselves in, I begin to see all the chaos that's everywhere. And often that's the way that I find it is. You know, you're doing something for the kingdom, but confusion and bedlam surrounds you. And I think it seems like it's happening all around us in four-part harmony and in stereo to boot. Sunday, we had, for example, an epic failure in our presentation of the Sunday service. You'd have probably seen that echoing all throughout the message there. But so we had to retape it and then re-present it. And it wasn't our fault, but it was clearly a mechanical failure at a bad moment of time, and boy, was it frustrating. But this is what I've begun to see about chaotic things. I believe in the Bible. I feel like I've got a good touch on what the scriptures say, and I've always thought that I had a good grip on the application of it, but that's where the chaos begins. And that's where the battle heats up. And it just seems to hit us with everything that it has. And not just us, but it hits everyone around us. It hits my family, it hits your family. And I've found that there's a tendency to be able to turn the legitimate concerns of my life into the illegitimate worries about my life. And so my word for you is that in the middle of this battle, we need to be responsibly concerned, because we're in the middle of this COVID concern, and it is real. And we ought to be concerned about our social distance. We ought to be caring for our loved ones properly. We ought to be concerned about what we buy, what we touch, if we shake hands, if we hug somebody. But you need to understand that worry is different than concern. Worry is when the situation seems to be concerning you and maybe overtaking you. And the problem is when the situation is controlling you and not the other way around. So worry is when it controls how you respond to it. Do you follow me? You might say that worry is well, it's concern gone bad. It keeps you awake at night. It tells you your heart's not right. It tells you you might be coming down with this virus. It begins to dictate your well-being and all of your thinking. You begin to dream about it. And you've heard about that. I've heard about this, that people are dreaming differently because of this. And when that happens, you cross over from legitimate concern to illegitimate worry. And I've got to say that no matter what you're facing or what I'm facing, God never wants us to worry. Even if we're concerned, He doesn't want you to worry. And you want to know why you can do that? You want to know why we can do that? We can do it because we have a Father. You might remember that Jesus had this conversation with us in Matthew chapter 6, because he's talking over and over and over just after the Beatitudes into the Sermon on the Mount. And he says, don't worry. He says, don't worry. And again, he says, don't worry, 3 different times. And then he punctuates it on the end of that sentence. And he says, and by the way, if you get this tag, you get the answer. Because he says, you don't need to worry because you have a daddy. You have a father. And you know, if you think about God in the middle of this chaos as your daddy, if you think about this chaos in the middle of it, that you have a father, because as you see, as powerful as he is as God, he's also your daddy. And if you can remember that, then you're able to take a deep breath because that sense of his care in your life in the midst of a crisis brings a calming sense into your life and into your emotions. And the best result of that is that it captures the enemy's greatest weapon. And you know what that is? F-E-A-R. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Hmm. Oh, and there's also this. Jesus makes another statement in that particular passage, and he says, "Oh, ye of little faith." Oh, thanks for that, Jesus. But he says it because you made a wrong turn in the cul-de-sac of concern and got into the avenue of worry. And that includes me too. And don't think that the thoughts don't invade me about whether my family's going to survive this onslaught of the enemy's camp. And don't think that I don't wonder if there going to be people in our church when this is all over. What's going to happen to the people in our community that we serve? I think about those things. And it shakes the way that we do our ministry here. Or even though we're adjusting the best that we can, will we adjust enough? And just like you, we hope. But we don't always know the answer to these questions, do we? And in the midst of those questions, I always have the master of the ship telling me, don't go there, Rob. Don't go there. Because there's no safe harbor in those thoughts. Just trust in me. And so I listen with confidence because I, just like you, have a daddy. I have a father that truly cares for me. And I just want you to know that this daddy that we have, that loves us, that cares about us, and even though he allowed this crisis to happen, and you need to know that it could not have happened had it not gone through his fingers first. He just simply asks us to trust in him in the middle of it. So what is God saying to you individually? And what is God saying to you and your family? And what is he saying to our nation? What's he saying to our world? I think he's speaking, by the way. But I believe that he's saying, I need more of your undivided attention. You've wandered too far from me, and now I'm changing your habits, and I'm making you talk to people that you've never talked to before. Because you see, a crisis has a way of producing caring, doesn't it? See, we're caring for one another, and we're asking about one another, and we're having maybe by Zoom meetings, or maybe by email, or maybe by telephone, but we're doing it. Because you see, a crisis has a way of creating something that in its absence you couldn't have otherwise accomplished. And so I want you to see that we can become pretty clear about this, that we are independent when nothing is wrong. I've noticed it about me. And so what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to come out of this for me, and I'm wanting you to come out of it. I'm wanting our church to come out of it by asking the question, God, what do you want me to adjust to in my life? Because I've been forced to engage with my family in a different way, and I've been forced to slow down a busy schedule, and I've been forced to have time I never thought that I had. And in a sense, I've been forced to rest the spiritual land of my life. Isn't that interesting? And to take a moment to be able to re-engage my connection, my spiritual connection especially, with God. And I want to suggest that you do the same, and that you look at this as one of those rare opportunities from God in its gifting to your life. And I want you to think about reaching out to other church members that may have that special word, that may need that special word from God that only you could have given to them. Maybe there's somebody from the church. Maybe someone that you've been inviting to church that needs encouragement that you never thought that they needed, but it was your call that made the difference. Because you see, crisis is an opportunity for caring for others. It's not an opportunity for worrying. And why is that? Well, because you got a big daddy who loves you very, very much. And your daddy is saying that if you put him first in the midst of the worst issues of your life, that he'll always put you first. So remember this. This may well not be a time that you can't be concerned. Maybe you can be concerned. It can be a time for that. But it's never been a time for worry. God richly bless you. We love you so much. We miss you and look forward to talking to you in face-to-face real soon. God bless.